Oh yeah, y'all know what time it is? Out there in TV land. If you don't know, I say welcome to the 31 days of Halloween. And ladies and gentlemen, first up to bat, a man who needs no introduction and a stab. You all know who we're talking about. If you don't, I don't know what rock you've been under for the last probably 20 years. We are talking about the man in the mask, the new creature feature in the land of masked villains. We are talking about none other than Ghostface. There can be one of them, there can be two of them, and as of late, there's been 3 and 4 of them. But ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about the one, the only Ghostface in the Scream franchise. So don't answer that call, because your favorite scary movie just might be your last. Hello, ladies and jelly spoons, and welcome to the 24K horror movie countdown. Here at 24K Films, we review all the movies so that you don't have to. We let you know if it's good, if it's bad, if it's great, or if it's dog shit. And today, our second installment. I don't know if you saw yesterday. Yesterday was Aliens, and after Alien Earth, we needed to jump into something new. So right now, they have a latest installment getting ready to come out, bringing our boy Stu back. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you could not tell by my desktop, we are talking about Scream. So I'm going to show you guys a trailer, and then I'm going to come back and unpack it. Now, this movie spans several different iterations. And unlike a horror franchise where there's one killer, this franchise has several, all supposedly connected together, but we're going to talk about the first, the carving out of the franchise, the niche, Scream 1.
Hello?
Hello.
Who is this?
Tell me your name, I'll tell you mine.
I don't think so.
What's that noise?
Popcorn.
You making popcorn?
Well, I'm getting ready to watch a video.
Really? What?
Oh, just some scary movie.
You like scary movies?
Uh-huh.
You never told me your name.
Why do you want to know my name?
I want to know who I'm looking at.
Someone is playing a deadly game.
It all began with a scream over 911.
Someone who's seen one too many scary movies. Now he's taken his love of fear
Hello?
Hello, Sydney.
one step too far.
Like scary movies?
What's the point? They're all the same. Some stupid killer stalking some big-breasted girl who can't act, who's always running up the stairs, and then she should be going out the front door. It's insulting.
There are certain rules that one must abide by in order to successfully survive a scary movie. Number 1, you can never have sex.
Hey, what are you? Just me.
Never, ever, ever, under any circumstances, say, I'll be right back. Because you won't be back. Get another beer, you want one? Yeah, sure. I'll be right back.
He didn't make the rules.
These are always off track, but they watch prom night and same time.
He just kills by them. Don't answer the phone. Don't open the door. Don't try to hide.
Everybody, let's not back.
Not scared, are you?
Scream.
You hang up on me again, I'm gonna gut you like a fish. Oh, sorry about that, guys. You know, those extracurricular activities catch up with you. But ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my game dojo. That's right, we are talking about the man in the mask. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, Ghostface himself. The Scream franchise is an amazing franchise. Started out with something I didn't know I wanted to see, and it ended up in something that I love to see and love to watch. Now, this is one of only few franchises that generationally gaps people together. What do I mean by that? In the first Scream movie, actual telephones were used for most of the scares and jump scares and reveals. But by the time we got to the most recent iteration with cell phones and him showing up in the corner store and 7-Elevens and Wawa in broad daylight, it's a different generation. Now, why did I chose to only talk about the first one? Because it was the mold. It was the icon. It was what the other movies were based off of. And when it comes to the first movie, it was an all-star packed cast. Now, I only say this when it comes to all-star packed cast. If you see a ton of stars in a movie, it's either going to be really good or absolute dog shit. This one is the exception that disproves the rule. I like the fact that he's a quick killer. I like the fact that he runs after you. I like the fact that he plays with you. Having said that, there are crossover reiterations because the original name of this movie was not Scream. It was Scary Movie, which is funny because Scary Movie actually shares a universe and a link with Scream. If you don't know, that's the amazing part about it. You can Google it up, look it and research it. But apparently the working title for the Scream franchise when it first started was Scary Movie. Now, how did the Wayans brothers end up with Scary Movie and Scream? That's something for another video. But I will say, it's an interesting story. Go to YouTube, Google Scream and Scary Movie, and the first video will pop up will be my boy Vaughn's. You need to watch it. It's absolutely amazing. Now, the crazy part about the Scream franchise is that not only did it bolster star talent, everybody was a suspect, as my boy Jamie Kennedy would say later in the movie. By the way, he did misquote aliens with the get away from her and stay away from her, you bitch reference. He did mess that one up. So sorry. I gotta get on you about that, Jamie. You did technically mess up the line. Having said that, I do like Billy Loomis and Stu as the killers. Oh, spoiler alert. If you have never seen Scream, and I don't know where you've been, if you've never seen the original Scream, surprise, spoiler alert, 3, 2, 1, I already gave it away. Yes, Stu and Billy are the killers. Which is funny because if they were sussing out the entire plot to go after Sydney, why did they try to kill her several times throughout the movie? It didn't make sense. And it wasn't like they were trying to scare her. They literally, if she had not hit my man with a vase or a table or he tripped over something, she'd have been dead as fried chicken, which is funny. By the way, if you didn't know, it was Stu in the garage that killed his girlfriend. That's right. I don't know if you guys knew, which happened to be one of the dumbest deaths in the world. If you are running from somebody and you get to turn on them by busting them in the head with something and they on the ground, don't keep running. You tee off until you see white meat. If you get them down for 1 second, unless they're Jason or Michael Myers, I would say Freddy, but when she bust Freddy with the teacup, the China set, he was pretty much jacked up at the time, so he ain't really need no comeback. She just ripped his shirt off. You saw like all the that's a different movie. But Rose McGowan, she had to come up. She had him on the ground, and she chose to try to crawl through a doggy door, which is funny because it's something you think you would see in Scary Movie, the the comedic version of Scream. And they did it. They did a funny version of it with a girl who was chubbier. But yeah, just for your sake and my sake, don't ever try to go through a dog door. Ever. Never. Especially when he was right there. You had him down. There was a ton of stuff in that garage you could have grabbed and teed off. Or not, just use your hands. Catch him with an elbow. You know what I'm saying? Give him a little Indian burn. You could do something. Like you had him on the ground. But anyway, in case you didn't know, that was Stu who took out his girlfriend. I keep wanting to say Cindy because of Scary Movie. Scary Movie has ruined the original Scream movie for me, because mostly when I think back of Scream, I keep seeing images of Scary Movie. That's how funny and crazy these two wrapped together are. So it's funny that they actually have something to do with each other, with all the stuff going on, because now when I think about things, I was like, oh, wait a minute, that was Scary Movie, that wasn't Scream. But this movie started off with Drew Barrymore, and you're like, wow, star power. Don't get used to Drew. She gets her ass stabbed off like taco meat, like in the first 10 minutes of the movie. No Drew, sorry. I will say, and see, even me thinking about parts of Scream, I keep seeing Ray. I keep seeing Ray and everybody else. It's so much wrapped up in the Scream universe that I can't. I blame Scary Movie for ruining the Scream franchise for me. Even when I watch a new Scream movie, all I can think about is Ghostface smoking weed, falling down the stairs, doing stupid things, tripping all over. Like, it's killing me. And I think they only used the Scream character for one movie, which was the first one. I think the second and the third had different stories altogether, and the fourth and the fifth, which is off in territory, which didn't have the Wayans brothers. I don't know how many reiterations they made. I think they made like 5 or 6. But Scream, the original franchise Scream, this is what we're going off of. Scream 1. I will say, having watched a ton of scary movies, I knew within the first 25 minutes of the movie who the killer was. Now, I didn't catch Stu until later on. I caught Stu at the dinner party with Jamie Kennedy when he gets killed. That's when I caught on to it being Stu. But for most of the movie, I did get Billy. Even the scene where Billy drops like the mask and the knife on the floor, that was pretty much telling in the beginning when the cops catch him and he drops the mask on the floor and the knife and the cell phone. See, that's Scary Movie. See, Scary Movie has ruined that scene for me. Damn you, Scary Movie. We're gonna have to do Scary Movie as well. Anyway, I like the kills, I like the thrills, I like the spills. Like I said, when I caught on to who the killers were, the only thing for me was the motive, which they reveal in the end. And I did love, was it Skeet Ulrich? I think he was Billy. And then you had, what is his name? He was Shaggy in Scooby-Doo. No, what was his name in real life? Matthew Lillard. There we go. Thank you. Nightmare Creature, always on standby. Matthew Lillard and Skeet Ulrich were actually great killers, and I like the chemistry. But the funny part is, every time I think of them in the reveal in the end, the first thing that comes to my mind, like I said, I blame Scary Movie. Scary Movie has ruined Scream for me. Because when they're doing the reveal at the end, and they're letting Sydney, not Cindy. Sydney, not Cindy. See these? Oh my God, Scary Movie! I hate you for that. And he's letting her reveal. He's revealing it, and it's him and Stu next to him, and they have the knives and everything. And then you ketchup, just like my mom puts on her spaghetti, baby. And I'm like, you damn you guys, because the original Scream movie didn't have that line, but it did have him showing that it was corn syrup, just like they used in what is the name of that damn movie? Psycho.
Carrie.
Carrie? Was it Carrie? It was Carrie. Just like they used in Carrie. And see, I kind of hate the fact that both of those movies exist in my brain at the same time, because one is completely scary with no minimal jokes, and then the other one is just completely terrifying. And I just hate it. Anyways, Scream 1 was a great time. I don't know about you guys, but Scream 1 was a great time. I liked the reveal. I liked the ending. I hated the fact that poor Sydney had to go through more trauma, even up until the most recent one, because now I hear she's coming back again. I hope they don't do like I Know What You Did Last Summer and turn her into one of the killers, because I did not need that, and that sucked. I don't know if you guys saw the new I Know What You Did Last Summer. Spoilers if you haven't. But the original legacy character ends up being the killer because he didn't want his reputation tarnished, but he was never the killer. Like, you crashed into a guy and killed him and hit it, and the revenge came back on you from family. Like, I like that they're revisiting the 90s, but do it with care. Handle with care. Now, the latest Scream is supposed to have Nev Campbell in it, and we know Stu comes back. I don't know which way he comes back. Is it a flashback? Has he been on life support after he had a TV slammed into his face? But let's not forget, before he had the TV slammed to his face, he was stabbed quite a few times in the stomach by Billy. Take it easy, man. I'm getting woozy here. But on the same token, I don't know how he's alive, but I'm glad that they're bringing him back to put butts in his seat after all the crazy chaos that happened with characters exiting the new version and characters being brought back and them getting rid of the original legacy character because they said, quote unquote, she wanted too much money. The politics will kill you. But having said that, in the last 10 years, we have gotten a new Halloween. We've gotten a new Scream. We're getting another scary movie. We've gotten I Know What You Did Last Summer. Pretty much all the horrors we used to watch from the 90s, the popular horror genre, they're all coming back in reiterations. And some good and some not. I'm glad Sarah Michelle Gellar is back. And I Know What You Did Last Summer. Even if it was just a cameo to talk about her character, I did like seeing her back. But she's doing Buffy too. They're resurrecting Buffy, and it is an add-on series. So, like I said, the nostalgia guy in me is enjoying this resurgence of the 90s movies and TV shows and games. Because if you go back to the 90s, the number one games, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, Tekken, there's another one I'm forgetting, Virtua Fighter. And now you come back and you have Tekken, Virtua Fighter, a new Street Fighter 6 that just came out, Mortal Kombat 1. So it's like we're getting a huge resurgence of 90s back into our media. And I, for one, I mean, I'd love it if it's done correctly. If it's not done correctly, then But in the Scream movie, it's not going to be a verbatim blow. I'm just going to say, for a franchise coming out during a slasher apocalypse, there's been tons of slashers. Michael Myers, Jason, you have Hatchet, you have David Boreanaz as the Cherub Mask and Valentine. Like, there's been recently you had Hard Eyes. Like, there's a ton of mask wielding serial killers in the world, but Scream had an originality to it. Matter of fact, I will say the track by Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, Red Right Hand, the only reason why I know that and why it lives rent-free in my head is because of Scream. If you don't know what I'm talking about, take a little walk through the edge of town and go across the tracks, burnt, burnt, where the viaduct looms like a bird of doom as it shifts and cracks. You know what I'm talking about? Where the secrets lie in a border fires. Come on, you know you're never coming back. Cross the mills, cross the bridge, cross the hills, cross the stack. He's one microscopic cog in your catastrophic plan, designed and directed by a red right hand. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. That song lives rent-free in me, and every time I hear it, I think back to Woodsboro and Scream 1. I don't think of it because they tried to play it in a bunch of other Scream reiterations, but to me, the original is the mold breaker. The original is the real McCoy.
They even tried playing that song in a bunch of other things, and it just didn't hit right.
Yeah. Scream 1 has charm. It has a charm. I'm not saying the other ones were bad. I'm not saying any of the sequels were bad, because sequelitis was a thing, and it will always be a thing, because if there's money to be made, people will sequelize anything until non-existence. I will say, though, out of the series, the first, to me, is my favorite, for the simple fact that it was groundbreaking in a time when it came out. And like I said, there's tons of mass killers, but for this one to stand out the way that it did, bravo. Bravo. Like I said, I mentioned Hatchet. A lot of you guys don't know who played Hatchet, Kane Hodder. Here we go into another axe-wielding killer who didn't get enough credit. But everybody pays attention to Freddy Krueger, Michael Myers, Jason. But there are a ton. I said David Boreanaz as Valentine. There are a ton. Recently, I told you about Hard Eyes. There are a ton of mask-wielding psychopaths. Some nail it and some don't. For Scream to come out at a time amongst big blockbuster mask-wielding psychopaths and stand on top, that says a lot about the subject matter. Is it a perfect film? No movie is perfect, as CinemaSins would say, is without sin. But as a slasher killer movie, absolutely awesome. And it spawned a franchise. It spawned a TV show. You can check out my other channel. I just played the game Scream. There is no official Scream game, but there is a fan-made Scream game out there that's pretty damn good. I ran around and got my ass stabbed off like 20 times because that's what would happen in real life. Hopefully, I would fare a little bit better because, you know what I'm saying, I'm surrounded in the game dojo and I got like tons of ninja weapons. So hopefully, I would survive a little bit longer, but it all depends on who the killer is. The killer is who you least expected all the time. I could turn around, could be the nightmare creature. She could be like, "Bleh. What's your favorite scary movie?" I'm like, Saw. Never seen it. I'm dead. You know. Anyways, Scream to me, if I was going to judge the entire franchise as a whole, they kind of lost something as we went on. Scream 2 being a direct sequel to Scream 1, I did like it, and I like how they always tried to tie the killers into the main story and a reason for them being there. As we gotten on later in the reiterations, the chemistry has changed so much for the new generation and a new genre that, like I said, in broad daylight, he's in a 7-Eleven trying to kill somebody when he, like, come on.
I'm just hoping with Scream 7, when it comes out, they stick to the old formula of the first 4 films.
Yeah. But I have to judge it based on the entirety of it. Now, can't judge 7, but I can judge the 6. I will say, having people in it like Jenna Ortega, and there are some names in the newer franchise, but to me, the kills aren't as satisfying, neither is the reveal is as satisfying as the original Scream reiterations. But like I said, you have two types of thought. You have 90s people, which you have the boomers and you have the Gen X, and then you have like the YZ millennials and the newer reiteration. So you have two generations clashing, and older generations tend to go for the first 4, I would say, in the series. I would say first 1 through 3. 1 through 3. We'll split the third one. So 1 through 3, and then 3 for the new, because there's 6. So I would say 3, 4, 5, well, half of 3. 4, 5, and 6. 4, 5, and 6, I'll say, is going to be new gen, millennial, more geared towards a new environment and new types of people recording on cell phones and things like that. The first 1, 2, 3, you have more of that analog generation where you have actual house phones. Certain things didn't exist. Like, for instance, her locking the door, blocking the door, and calling the police on the modem on her computer. How many of y'all even know how to do that on your home computer, like now? How many of y'all know how to call the police through your phone, through your computer or your tablet?
That's certainly not me. I never learned how to do that.
Exactly. But this is the difference when I'm talking about in generational change in Scream. You can literally see the generations change from the first half of Scream to the last half of Scream. So it's really up to number 7 to show us whether they're going to be bridged between the first or the second half of the Scream franchise. Unfortunately, like I said, when I Know What You Did Last Summer, I didn't like the route that they went. Same thing with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Inviting legacy characters just to destroy your legacy, to me, is in bad taste. Inviting one of the original survivors from Texas Chainsaw Massacre just to get her ass stabbed off was stupid. And like I said, spoiler alert, I Know What You Did Last Summer, taking one of the original legacy surviving members and turning them into the killer this time, stupid. Stupid. I know what you were trying to go for, but it's stupid that somebody who survived that trauma became that monster. There's another way you could have done it that way. But you're talking about your legacy being tainted. What legacy? You lived. What legacy? You lived, and then you took up the mantle of the killer and started killing. An example of that being done better, Friday the 13th. Friday the 13th. Friday the 13th, the mask has changed many times through many hands and many people. You have the earlier rendition where the ambulance driver is wearing a blue check mask, which is the Pathmark version of Jason Voorhees. But towards the end of that movie, if you notice, your boy in the hospital, he gets visions and the mask comes to him and he puts the mask on and he becomes Jason, and then he starts killing and he breaks through the window. Now, of course, the next movie, they throw all that shit out of the window because Tommy Jarvis is now played by somebody new in a new different iteration. It's like every single last one they thought was going to be their last movie, and then when they got another movie, they're like, oh shit, we gotta change that, we gotta retcon that so we can make more movies. But that Jason, they went into another iteration where his body jumped from person to person to person to person, changing him into more mythological lore. When it comes to Scream, whether it's Billy Loomis, Stu, the mom who played by Jackie from Roseanne Bravo, I've never seen you as a killer. I've seen you as a mom on a Big Bang Theory, and I've seen you as a mom in a bunch of other shows and in Roseanne. But out of anybody being a killer from the Roseanne show, I would have thought DJ. If you remember what I'm talking about, if you remember Roseanne, and like I said, this is going to be a fun video.
He had like all kinds of Barbie parts underneath his
Yes.
bed because he ripped his sister's dolls apart.
He had a bunch of body parts under his bed, doll heads and arms and legs. He's the one I would have suggested would grow up to wear the Scream mantle and be a killer. But it's okay. We got Jackie. And as it went on, I'm like, by the time we got to like 4, 5, and 6, I'm like, who is the killer this time? Their grandfather? Their uncle? How did Stu have a child? When did Stu have a child? When did Stu have a girlfriend to have a child? How is she related to Stu? Okay, Skeet comes back to play Stu in Visions, but he's older Stu. How does the ghost age? Like, there's just so much. But like I said, that's a different generation from the ones that I was introduced to. So I stick to the original brand over the end. But as a whole, I give the series a gold. It's gold. I want to give it a platinum, but like I said, the later reiterations, there's too much I just couldn't get on board with. And I understand, because I'm not about that life. I'm not about that generation. That generation thinks different. They act different. They feel different. They respond different. Different things excite them. Different things scare them. Different things gets their juices flowing. It's a different generation from me. So as a generational gap person back and forth, I understand that. So that's just not for me. The first couple of iterations is more up my lane. You have somebody, you have a mask, they have some kind of trauma, they take it out on people. We've seen that a lot. Hello, Mary Lou, Prom Night 2, Prom Night 1. We've seen that a lot, where trauma on somebody in early years comes back to play vengeance. Carrie, trauma, traumatic, teen childhood, bred supernatural destruction of a prom. Y'all deserved it. Y'all got what y'all deserve. And you know what? People keep forgetting. Vinnie Barbarino, Mr. John Travolta, yeah, You had that coming, but you had a lot worse. A lot worse should have happened to you and Sue. A lot worse should have happened to y'all too. Y'all got off easy. For what y'all did to that girl, Carrie White, in her prom, you deserve much worse. In my head, you got much worse. But anyway, we're used to children and teenagers getting a certain level of abuse and then getting older, and one or two things happens. They will either become a productive member of society, or they will put on a mask and fillet your ass 6 weeks from Sunday. That's the two choices. There is no happy medium. There's no, hey man, I remember you back from high school. How's everything going? I'm fine. I remember you too. I remember you used to stuff me in my lockers. That's the beginning of a movie of where you're going to get your ass stabbed off by this person in a mask later on, no matter what they're wearing. Happy Death Day to you too. Mask killers, to me, is a genre all to itself when it comes to horror. I think they should have their own horror section. Mask serial psycho killers, because they belong, whether they're mythical, whether they're stored in myth, whether somebody takes up the mantle, whether it's somebody just faking the funk on a nasty dunk with a blue check and their Jason Voorhees mask instead of the red check, which, come on guys, now that you watch those movies, instantly when you see Jason killing with the blue check mark, you're like, hey, wait a minute, wasn't that red? Exactly. He didn't have the mask, so that's a dead giveaway. It's a dead giveaway. But when it comes to franchises, they always one off somewhere. Jaws, what happened with Jaws 3? We went from actual shark and mechanical shark attacks to a superimposed glue still of a, we ain't even gonna go there. Same thing happened in Halloween. Well, Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. People was like, did I go to the right movie? Michael Myers is in this, which, by the way, he is in it. He's just on a TV spot on television, but he is in it. He is in it. So to say that he's not in it, that is a lie and a falsehood, and you're not a fan. If you watch Season of the Witch, which if you take by itself as its own movie, is a great Halloween movie. I wouldn't put it amongst the Halloween franchise. I don't know. I would call it something like Halloween or something like that. But calling it Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, which I never got that anyway. Can I just pause for a second? It's called Season of the Witch, right? But there are robots and like weird cult Celtic things. I don't get the witch part. What about witchcraft is the robots? Swapping people to look like robots. What witchcraft is that? I don't know how that goes. I mean, I get the mask thing where you put the mask on, you know, 10 more days till Halloween, 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 10 more days till Halloween, silver shamrock, burn, 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 burn. And then bugs start crawling out your nose and fleas out your mouth and worms out your ears. Like, I get that part. That sounds like witchcraft.
Maybe they were trying to go off the guy being like a witch doctor or something.
Yeah, but you can't create robots if you're a witch. You should be supernatural stuff, like bringing like demons or zombies back or something. Like, you should bring zombies back to kill people or like possess people. Anyways, back to Scream. Scream's franchise is gold. It is absolute gold here in the Game Dojo. I don't know where 7 is going. 4, 5, and 6 I can watch, not all the time. 1, 2, and 3 I can watch over and over and over again, just because they cater more to things that I'm familiar with. Like I said, for those of y'all who don't know what this is a phone. A house phone. You see the cord with the coils. There is a receiver you dial, or the rotary joint back then, and then you just talk to people. See, back in the day, we used to like get like this ear shoulder thing, so we could like put it on our shoulder, and then we could like talk to people while we doing things and play games, because we learned how to not, hook our shoulder to our ear, and we could like talk to people like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? I said what I'm saying, blah 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 blah. Jordan's got the ball, but we had this. Nowadays, you can't do that with a cell phone. You go ahead and try to put a cell phone up to your ear and try to hold that flat little piece of thing. It's going to slide off, crack on the ground. You're going to have to get a new screensaver. You have to call Verizon or T-Mobile and get them to upgrade your phone because you done dropped it on some hard linoleum because it didn't split because it's the size of a debit card, but it costs more than a car. That's a whole nother story. Anyways, Scream. The franchise is dope. Whether you are partial to the first half or the latter half, you gotta respect the franchise for breaking mold in a horror genre, which ain't easy to do. I've seen tons of horrible movies over the years that I'm like, what the hell did I just watch? Like, I couldn't even tell you. And then it's like credits. No, you don't give me credits there when you haven't, what is going on? Like, yeah, that's new movies to me. I've seen very few and far between new movies that broke ground that was absolutely amazing, where I was just like, you know what? That was actually pretty good. Very few movies. But Scream, I can manage to get through all of them. Like I said, unfortunately, the later they go, the more out of touch I feel, because I'm not a part of that life. I'm not about that life. I'm old school. You see the gray fuzz and the werewolf going on here. Like, yeah, you see the taco meat is gray, but like, yeah. But it is what it is. I still respect the franchise. I still will give the movies a go. I just may not be able to go with them. Even the new I Know What You Did Last Summer, they changed to modern millennial overtones. And it kind of got lost on me. Because there was a lot of times in there where I'm just like, well, why ain't you could have done, well, why didn't you, okay. But we wouldn't react like that. But I'm thinking as where I am. I'm thinking from the generation I'm from. That's how we would react in that situation. Not how the new folks react in those situations. And it's a different story altogether. You know, it's not good or bad. It's not positive or negative. It's just generational reacts different ways to certain types of situation and environment. Back in the day, we saw a Chucky doll. We got scared. Here's this 3-foot little doll with a knife, you know, coming at you. Nowadays, people are like, what's scary about Chucky? I just punt him down the hallway and kick him. They don't understand, like the nightmare creatures always telling me, like, he has the strength of full-grown man. I get it. But the new generation don't see that. They just see a 3-foot toy, you know, I want to kill you and stabby. Like I said, there is a generational gap. But when it comes to movies, music, media, television, and horror genre, there's some commonality, but most of the time there's going to be divide. Just for the simple fact that we different. We broke from different cloths. Different things scare us like it didn't back then. Like Village of the Damned. That could only be made and received in the time Village of the Damned was made. Nowadays, you drive into a town where you got 1,200 blonde children just like all controlling things. People be like, it's like a weird town. Like, what are they, like they're like Mormons or something? Like, it doesn't go off in your head that maybe these are all demon spawned children and they all blonde. Like, they all look like Carol Ann. But we about that life, and I'm gonna say something. Look, Carol Ann may have not have been evil, but she always was creepy to me. I don't know why, but Carol Ann was always creepy to me. One of the scariest Carol Ann moments from Poltergeist is when she got taken to the other side, you know, la, 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 and they touched her, and she goes, nah, and her face turns old, and like, take the lance. If you haven't seen Poltergeist, none of that's going to land with you. If you've seen Poltergeist, you understand what I'm saying. And she turns, and they got the weird, creepy sound, and the grandma brings her back, and you know what I'm saying, Taylor's there, the Indian with the brief smoke into the... You had to be there. Anyways, Scream. Gold. Watch it. Own it. See it. Definitely the first couple of ones. You could do the last ones too. And like I said, depending on who you are, your opinion will vary. It's okay. But we can meet commonly and have fun in the Scream franchise. Till next time, next gameplay, next movie review. Stay tuned to the Game Dojo. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, check out my Scream review, my Scream game review. Give it some love, show it some love. But anyway, thank you guys for joining me. I'll check you out next time.